That nightmare just became reality for America's heartland. Case IH, the powerhouse behind those iconic red tractors, didn't just shutter factories. They delivered a devastating blow to the American dream, laying off 140 workers in a swift, unceremonious move, leaving them to face locked gates and security guards distributing termination notices. This isn't some routine corporate shakeup. It's a staggering betrayal that's sparking an unexpected movement. Farmers taking tractor building into their own hands, Silicon Valley stepping into the ag-tech void, and even political rivals finding rare common ground. How could a pillar of American agriculture vanish overnight? What happens when the equipment farmers rely on suddenly lacks support and parts? And why has this corporate decision ignited one of the most unified political responses in recent memory? The fallout exposes a deeper truth about corporate trust that resonates far beyond the fields. The shockwave is now threatening the entire dealer network. Eleanor Ketchum, 62, a third-generation owner of Heartland Farm Equipment in Iowa, sat frozen as she read the corporate email. After 47 years of selling only Case IH products, her dealership was suddenly in jeopardy. No prior warning, no transition strategy, no assurances about parts. Just a cold message with vague promises of more information. The reality hit immediately. Dealers like Eleanor, bound by exclusive contracts, were barred from selling competitors. Brands and now had no products left to sell or service. She flipped through her 300-page franchise agreement, only to confirm what she feared. She had no legal way out. Within minutes, her phone lines jammed with panicked farmers. Marcus Johnson, who had just invested $645,000 in new Case IH equipment, demanded answers about parts availability during critical planting season. Timothy Wright, John Deere Regional Sales Director, orchestrated an aggressive dealer conversion campaign. This is the opportunity of a generation to reshape the market, he told his sales team during an emergency strategy session. Meanwhile, Carlos Mendez, Case IH parts distribution manager, explained to desperate dealers that American warehouses were depleting with no clear resupply timeline, as international production struggled to adapt. Out in America's fields, a far more immediate crisis unfolded with potentially catastrophic consequences for the nation's food supply. The harvest crisis. What if your livelihood depended on machines you suddenly couldn't repair? Fifth generation. Wheat farmer James Harmon faced this nightmare when his combine broke down 3 days into harvest. The sensor module controlling the threshing system failed. A part that once arrived overnight now sat on indefinite back order. Every 24 hours of delay cost him $7,500, as unpredictable weather threatened his crop. Agriculture's unforgiving seasonal deadlines made the equipment crisis devastating. Planting and harvesting windows couldn't be postponed for corporate restructuring or supply chain adjustments. Sarah Jenkins, 29, became an unexpected hero. The tech-savvy farmer's livestream, showing how to bypass Case IH software locks, garnered 27 million views within days. If they won't support us, we'll support ourselves, she declared to her growing audience. The parts ecosystem collapsed rapidly. Local dealers displayed empty shelves where critical components once stood. Rural mechanics worked overtime to cannibalize older equipment, while farmers resorted to fabricating makeshift replacements, solutions neither ideal nor safe. Wei Liang, a Chinese parts manufacturer, began reverse engineering Case IH components and establishing direct-to-farmer sales channels. These parts lacked warranty protection, but represented the only option for many desperate operators. American Farm Bureau experts sounded alarms about national food security implications if the crisis continued through multiple growing seasons. What started as corporate restructuring was evolving into a threat to America's food production capability. The political machinery in Washington began to roar to life with unprecedented force and unity. The political firestorm. Just when it seemed like things couldn't escalate further, President Trump made Case IH the centerpiece of his economic nationalism agenda. At a Cedar Rapids rally, Trump thundered about American betrayal to a roaring crowd, vowing crippling tariffs of 200% on any Case IH equipment manufactured abroad. You do not abandon the American farmer, "Not on my watch," he declared to thunderous applause. Unusual, bipartisan unity emerged around the issue. Democratic senators from agricultural states aligned with Trump on punitive measures. Senator Maria Rodriguez declared, "This isn't about politics. It's about survival for our rural communities." Iowa Governor Kim Reynolds declared an economic emergency, directing state agencies to assist affected communities. Attorneys general from 4 farming states announced a joint investigation into whether Case IH violated state laws regarding mass layoffs. Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney expressed concern about supply chain disruptions affecting Canadian farmers who rely on Case IH equipment. "While we support our American neighbors, we must ensure Canadian agricultural productivity isn't collateral damage," he stated. Wall Street analysts downgraded Case IH's parent company, CNH Industrial, sending its stock plummeting 7% in a single trading session as political risks outweighed projected cost savings. That's when everything changed. What began as a corporate decision transformed into a full-blown economic and political crisis, with consequences reaching far beyond factory floors, a crisis that would reshape American manufacturing, agriculture, and politics for generations to come. We dug deep into the Case IH disaster to reveal how one corporate decision shattered communities and transformed the entire agricultural landscape. Now you know the truth behind how American farmers were left stranded and how they're fighting back. If you value stories that uncover the real impact behind the headlines, consider subscribing. It helps us keep bringing you the stories that matter. The supply chain collapse. Here's how one corporate decision unraveled an entire industrial ecosystem. Michael Chen, Chief Executive Officer of Precision Hydraulics in Muncie, Indiana, gathered his employees in the facility break room. After 38 years supplying Case IH, 70% of their business disappeared overnight. "We've weathered recessions, trade wars, and pandemics," he told the silent crowd. "But nothing prepared us for being abandoned by our primary customer without warning." The collapse extended far beyond direct suppliers. An invisible network of thousands of specialized American manufacturers dependent on Case IH contracts faced similar devastation. Custom component fabricators, electronics suppliers, specialized tool makers, all concentrated within 500 miles of Case IH plants. Successive waves of layoffs spread through support industries. Logistics providers canceled routes. Industrial cleaning services downsized. Cafeteria suppliers lost contracts. Technical training firms specializing in Case IH systems closed entirely. Each lost position eliminated an additional 4.6 jobs throughout the broader economy, creating unemployment ripples that extended far beyond direct layoffs. Gabriela Santos, Human Resources Director at the Brazilian Case IH plant, described overwhelming challenges of rapid expansion. "We're trying to replicate manufacturing expertise that took decades to build in America. Quality control issues, skills shortages, supply chain disruptions. We're facing all of them simultaneously. Production that executives promised would transition seamlessly was proving impossible to replicate quickly." Mayor Susan Williams of Muncie faced catastrophic budget calculations as tax revenues collapsed. Essential services faced deep cuts precisely when community needs increased due to unemployment. "We provided tax incentives to these suppliers for decades," she explained. "Now, we're left with budget holes and unemployed residents." While communities reeled from economic aftershocks, a surprising rebellion took shape in America's farmlands that would challenge the entire industry's fundamental business model. The right to repair. Revolution. What happened next transformed individual outrage into organized resistance. Sarah Jenkins' viral video showing farmers how to bypass Case IH's software locks inspired a nationwide movement. Workshops across rural America, filled with farmers helping each other regain control over their own equipment. Modern farm equipment contained sophisticated software deliberately designed to prevent owner repairs. Manufacturers had built highly profitable service operations by forcing farmers to use authorized dealers for even basic maintenance. Case IH's departure created desperate motivation to overcome these restrictions. Minnesota State Representative Thomas Chen introduced the first comprehensive right-and-to-repair farm equipment legislation, breaking with traditional Republican business allegiance. When corporations abandon their responsibilities, government must protect citizens' right to maintain their own property, he declared during an impassioned floor speech. Emily Rodriguez, Federal Trade Commission investigator, launched a formal probe into whether digital repair restrictions constituted illegal anti-competitive practices. The investigation potentially threatened the entire equipment industry's business model, which relied heavily on service revenue. Professor James Wilson, Agricultural Engineering Department Chair at Iowa State University, developed a formal curriculum teaching equipment modification and repair previously considered unauthorized by manufacturers. We're reclaiming knowledge that should never have been restricted, he told reporters during a demonstration of their repair training facility. Internal documents from other equipment manufacturers revealed alarm as the repair movement gained momentum. One executive's leaked email warned, "If farmers can repair their own equipment, our most profitable revenue stream disappears overnight. This threatens our entire industry." While farmers reclaimed their right to repair, Case IH's competitors executed, carefully, calculated strategies to permanently reshape the market and ensure the company's American exodus became permanent. The competitors' counterplay. That decision didn't just backfire, it exploded into unprecedented opportunity for rivals. Catherine Chen, John Deere marketing director, unveiled the American-made, American-stayed campaign to her executive team. Digital boards displayed Case IH market share in freefall while competitors surged. "This isn't just about capturing temporary market share," she explained. "This is about permanently realigning customer loyalty in our industry." Competitors executed comprehensive plans targeting each Case IH vulnerability. Beyond emphasizing American manufacturing commitment, they introduced repair-friendly policies and aggressively recruited Case IH dealers seeking stable alternatives. Robert Thompson, former Case IH exclusive dealer for 34 years, emotionally removed company signage and raised the Kubota flag as employees applauded. "It feels like leaving an abusive relationship," he told local news cameras capturing the moment. "I defended this brand to my customers for 3 decades, and they abandoned us without a second thought." James Yamamoto unveiled Kubota's open-source Orange program, providing customers with complete repair documentation, diagnostic tools, and parts access, directly challenging industry norms that Case IH had championed. "We believe farmers should control their own equipment," he stated during the program launch. Li Wei, YTO Group executive, cut the ribbon at the company's first American assembly facility in Kansas, staffed primarily with former Case IH workers. "We recognize that American farmers need equipment built on American soil by people who understand their needs," he declared to applause from newly hired employees. Case IH's North American market share plummeted from 27% to 11% within 6 months, with losses divided among established competitors and new market entrants seeking footholds in the disrupted market. Just when it seemed communities built around Case IH might collapse entirely, an unexpected renaissance began taking shape that would transform their economic futures. The Heartland Transformation. The abandoned communities began writing their own survival stories. Mayor Thomas Wilson of Racine stood in the massive empty Case IH facility, being transformed into the Heartland Manufacturing Innovation Center. "We're not just replacing what we lost," he told visitors touring the space. "We're building something that can't be taken away again by a single corporate decision." The sprawling manufacturing floor had been divided into smaller manufacturing pods, each housing different businesses. Former Case IH engineers launched startups developing specialized agricultural technology. Suppliers who lost primary customers pivoted to new markets. Technical schools established training programs in the factory's former office spaces. Richard Dominguez, with 27 years' experience as a Case IH engineer, launched Precision Prairie, developing specialized attachments, improving older equipment performance. "We're focusing on extending the useful life of existing machinery rather than forcing farmers into constant upgrade cycles," he explained, while demonstrating his first commercial product. Professor Maria Chen developed targeted retraining programs. At the community college, keeping skilled workers in the community by adapting their manufacturing expertise to new sectors. These workers haven't lost their abilities, she emphasized. They just need bridges to know opportunities that value their skills. Reverend James Washington organized mutual aid networks through local churches, providing emotional and practical support for families navigating economic transition. Beyond financial hardship, there's a spiritual toll when your community's identity is threatened, he explained. Healing requires both practical and emotional support. The economic indicators showed mixed signals as communities adapted. Commercial property values dropped 37%, but new business formations rose 28% compared to the previous year. Tax revenues remained depressed, but showed first signs of stabilization as diversification strategies took root. While communities fought for survival, President Trump transformed Case IH's betrayal into the centerpiece of a new economic nationalism that would fundamentally reshape America's approach to manufacturing, trade, and corporate accountability. Trump's economic battlefield. When President Trump unleashed his economic nationalism, the entire agricultural equipment industry became a political battlefield. Surrounded by farmers and workers, Trump signed the American Agricultural Security Executive Order, targeting companies offshoring production, with Case IH explicitly named. His approach proved comprehensive. 200% tariffs on imported Case IH equipment, federal procurement restrictions, subsidy adjustments, penalizing farmers using imported equipment, and Department of Justice investigations. American tractors should be built by American workers for American farmers on American soil, he declared. Richard Jackson, CNH industrial investor, relations director, faced hostile shareholders as stock dropped 12% following the announcement. Meanwhile, Canadian Prime Minister Mark Carney coordinated with Trump to protect cross-border agricultural supply chains. Farmers found themselves caught between patriotism and economic survival, while competitors like John Deere accelerated American manufacturing investments to avoid becoming Trump's next target. The battlefield wasn't just political. Silicon Valley recognized unprecedented opportunity in agriculture's moment of disruption, transforming the very definition of farm equipment. The Silicon Tractor, the technological revolution, completely transformed the playing field. Dr. James Wilson, Monarch, Tractor Chief Technology Officer, unveiled an autonomous electric tractor to an astonished investor group. The sleek machine navigated test fields independently, performing precision operations without a driver, while collecting terabytes of environmental and performance data. Silicon Valley suddenly poured unprecedented capital into agricultural technology. $387 million for Monarch Tractor's Series C funding alone. Hundreds of millions more flowed to startups promising to revolutionize farming through technology solutions that made traditional equipment manufacturers appear increasingly obsolete.